Supreme Court has the final word and they said that the movie cannot be banned. It won't be banned. It will be released in the state of West Bengal. It's the duty of the state government to provide law and order and maintain this internal security situation. I want to cut across to my colleague Ananya Bhatnagar for a final word on the story. Ananya, what were the orders with respect to the state of Tamil Nadu? Because there was no explicit official order like West Bengal where they banned the screening of the movie, but there was a shadow ban, as the movie makers argued.
Well, it is a de facto ban is what, in fact, is mentioned in the petitions filed by the filmmaker as well. They allege that there was a de facto ban in the state of Tamil Nadu and multiplex owners were being forced to not actually show the film. Now, with regards to Tamil Nadu, the Supreme Court is very, very clear that, the state of Tamil Nadu will have to provide security to all the multiplexes in the state to actually, wherein this film is being screened. And it is the duty of, in fact, the state of Tamil Nadu to actually provide proper security arrangements and to maintain law and order in the state. But the screening of the film cannot be banned. And remember, Ansha, this matter would stem into autonomy of the CBFC when the matter is heard back in July. It would stem into how films are to be made and what is permitted and what not to be permitted. So definitely, this is not just the debate about the Kerala story, but would actually certainly lay down the law when it comes to filmmaking, when it comes to what has to be shown in theaters or not. But at this point of time, this is a big relief that is coming in for both, in fact, for the filmmakers and a setback for both the West Bengal and the Tamil Nadu government.
Ananya Bhatnagar tracking all the developments from the Supreme Court of India, getting us all the details on that story. While my colleague Anand Narasimhan, he also spoke to the producers of the movie. Here's a detailed conversation, an excerpt from that conversation. Listen in.
Congratulations.
Namaste.
Congratulations. How would you see the ruling by the Honorable Court today, Supreme Court?
It's a great ruling. It's a landmark judgment, according to me. It will go a long way in our principles of democracy and free speech, and people will be able to enjoy this film now in the parts where it was not allowed. So I think it's a great judgment. We have still to receive the copy, so fine print has to be read. But according to me, whatever I heard, it's amazing.
Vipulji, some amendments that you would also, as the filmmaker, would have to make in the disclaimer part, where the court has opined and Justice Chandrachud has said in the court that you would have to say that the number 32,000 has not been authenticated or verified. And the other part, that this is a fictionalized version of events. So this disclaimer you would have to add. Are you open to doing that?
We will, again, I will have to study the judgment and what the disclaimer needs to be changed to. But we will abide by the Supreme Court's judgment in its totality. We are absolutely law-abiding and we respect what Honorable Supreme Court has delivered today. I think today is a day for every Indian who wants the right for free speech and freedom of expression should be happy. We are really grateful.
You say the freedom of speech, but freedom of speech also comes with certain restrictions and responsibility. So let me ask you, this whole fight has been, our argument has been based around this 32,000 number. Do you believe that that could have been avoided? Was it a tad irresponsible to go big with this 32,000 number?
Anand, let the judgment come in my hand. I want to talk about this 32,000 number in detail, but maybe today is not the right day. We don't want to say anything which might contravene, with the judgment itself. We would like to respect the judgment in its totality, its entirety. So let this thing get over, and I promise you, we'll talk about this number.
We have spoken about this when you visited our studios, and between 32 and 3, you also did a press conference with 26 of the survivors who came up and spoke. So clearly, it is neither 32,000 or 3. The number is, and in court, there was also this aspect of that the film clip that was played in court said 2,800 to 3,200. Although more of these aspects have come through, this is what the Chief Justice has said. I'm reading out what our team was able to report from court. There is no authentic data to back up that the figure of conversion stands at 32,000. The film is a fictionalized version of events. So these are the two disclaimers that the Chief Justice has requested. Mr. Harish Salve, senior counsel appearing on behalf of the film producer, submits that in order to put the controversy regarding the film at rest, a following disclaimer be added not later than 5 p.m. 20th of May 2023. And these are the two disclaimers, Vipulji.
As I said, whatever the court has asked of us, we shall abide in letter and spirit without anything from our end. We respect the court's judgment and we shall do whatever we have been asked for.
One of the aspects is the state of West Bengal and also the state of Tamil Nadu have been asked to facilitate screening of the movie. How would you see that aspect?
I think that is the most important part of this judgment, where we were not allowed to express our opinion or our film, in many ways. I would say that it was done in a way which court has not, agreed with. And they've been directed to allow the screening, and they've also been directed that if any theatre owner is threatened, then they should provide the security. And I think that is a great thing. This allows the film to be now screened in Bengal and Tamil Nadu with immediate effect. And so the people are going to watch it. And I must say that because of this judgment, even in the rest of the India, there is going to be another wave of euphoria for the film. And people will welcome this judgment with, their hearts open.
All right, some latest news coming in. Responding to the capsized Chinese fishing vehicle, Indian Navy deploys aircraft for search efforts in the southern Indian Ocean. A Chinese fishing vessel was capsized with 39 crew members aboard, and there are rescue operations which are being done by India. India has come forward to lend a hand, and this is as per the international protocols and a practice that India has also followed, and it continues to do that with the Chinese as well. Those are the latest developments coming in. It's a swift humanitarian action that was taken by the Indian Navy, which deployed its air MR assets in the southern IOR, approx 900 nautical miles from India. This was in response to the sinking of a Chinese fishing vessel. There were 39 crew members aboard. The crew includes nationals from China, Indonesia, and also Philippines. Now, this is a display of India's obligation as a credible, responsible partner for ensuring safety at sea, and displaying that India is in compliance with all the international protocols as well. My colleague Akash with us on the broadcast. Akash, tell us more about this rescue operation.
Anusha, this is for the benefit of our viewers, that this was a Chinese fishing vessel that sank, in fact, in the Indian Ocean region, and it was just 900 nautical miles away from our coast. And after China asked for help, this is Indian Navy that has deployed its C-8 aircraft, and in fact, we are learning that multiple rounds of rescue and relief operation has been going on as of now, even when I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
And we are learning that many people are in fact missing from the particular vessel. And, it was reported that initially total 39 members were there on board, and 17 of them were Chinese, and then the remaining were from different nations. But as of now, this is an assistance that has been provided by Indian Navy as of now. In fact, these are the images where we can see the aircraft and also, several other resources of Indian Navy have been deployed for this particular mission.
Akash getting us all the details on that important story. Thank you, Akash. We'll continue coming back to you. There's some more news coming in from the state of Rajasthan. Well, earlier it seemed like a political clash. Now it has become a full-blown street fight. It seems like that the rivalry between Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot has escalated to a new level. The party workers from both the factions manhandled each other today. Now, this is what exactly happened, that Pilot camp workers organized a meeting, and at the same spot there was the party workers from the Gehlot camp who reached there. And there was a scuffle that broke out. The images on your screen right now. This only points out to how there is a division on the ground as well between the cadres. My colleague Bhavani joining us on the broadcast. Bhavani, आपसे जानना चाहेंगे क्या हुआ? हम ये तस्वीरें देख सकते हैं, मारपीट हो गई थी और ये सारे कांग्रेस के ही वर्कर्स हैं।
देखिए, सारे कांग्रेस के वर्कर हैं और कांग्रेस ने राजस्थान में फीडबैक कार्यक्रम शुरू किया, जिसमें तीन पार्टी के को इंचार्ज बनाए हैं जो जाकर फीडबैक ले रहे हैं। उसमें एक अमृता भवन है जिनको आज अजमेर में फीडबैक कार्यक्रम था, जिसमें पार्टी और सरकार दोनों का फीडबैक लेना था कि सरकार कैसा काम कर रही है, क्या पॉसिबिलिटी है, कौन कैंडिडेट हो सकते हैं। उसको लेकर एक मीटिंग थी। इस मीटिंग के अंदर जो इंतजाम वो सचिन पायलट कैंप में कराया कि ये पायलट के प्रभाव वाला इलाका माना जाता है अजमेर, जहाँ से सचिन पायलट सांसद भी रह चुके हैं। तो उसी दौरान जब अशोक गहलोत कैंप के नेता है, जिसमें धर्मेंद्र राठौर काफी गहलोत के करीबी है, उनके साथ समर्थक पहुंचे, कुछ और नेता पहुंचे और उनमें आपस में एक दूसरे के अंदर इस बात को लेकर काफी नाराजगी थी कि हमने आपको इन्वाइट नहीं किया, आज क्यों आए, पार्टी का कार्यक्रम, उसको लेकर हॉटटॉक हुई, नारेबाजी हुई। फिर उसके बाद में झगड़ा बढ़ गया और ये हाथापाई तक पहुंच गई। अब ये केवल मसला ये नहीं है कि अजमेर के अंदर किसी बात को लेकर ये मामला बने, क्योंकि सचिन पायलट और अशोक गहलोत के बीच में इस तरीके से लगा। सचिन पायलट की जनसंघर्ष यात्रा अजमेर से शुरू की थी, जयपुर के अंदर रैली की थी और उसको 15 दिन का अल्टीमेटम दिया था अशोक गहलोत को अपने डिमांड को लेकर। उसके बाद में राजस्थान कांग्रेस में टेम्परेचर हाई है। गहलोत और पायलट कैंप के अंदर काफी जो कार्यकर्ता दोनों तरफ के नेता है, दोनों में लगातार बयानबाजी हो रही है, उकसाने की बयानबाजी हो रही है, एक दूसरे पर एलिगेशन लगा रहे हैं। ये उसका रिफ्लेक्शन है, असर है जो नीचे आ रहा है। और अब कांग्रेस के सामने, कांग्रेस हाईकमान के सामने चुनौती है इसका हल निकालने की।
इसका हल निकालने की देखिए, ये जो दो गुट बन गए हैं भवानी कांग्रेस पार्टी के अंदर, अशोक गहलोत और सचिन पायलट, कहीं ना कहीं ये जो द्वंद्व है ये पार्टी वर्कर्स में भी देखने मिल रहा है। और चुनाव के इतने नज़दीक अगर पार्टी वर्कर्स ही बटे हुए हैं तो कांग्रेस कितनी कड़ी टक्कर दे पाएगी बीजेपी को, ये भी अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा सवाल है और एक ऐसा सवाल है जो कांग्रेस आलाकमान को अब कहीं ना कहीं एड्रेस करना पड़ेगा।
देखिए बिल्कुल, और यही सबसे बड़ी चुनौती है कांग्रेस आलाकमान के सामने, क्योंकि अगर इसका हल नहीं खोजा गया, क्योंकि गहलोत और पायलट कैंप के बीच में जिस तरीके से पूरे राजस्थान के अंदर ये स्थिति खड़ी हो गई है, तो अगर इसका हल नहीं निकाला गया तो इलेक्शन के अंदर कांग्रेस कैसे जाएगी, स्थितियां क्या होगी, इसका अंदाजा लगा सकते हैं।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया भवानी, सारी जानकारी हम तक लाने के लिए। दिस इज आई बिलीव आफ्टर कर्नाटका, दिस इज वन थिंग दैट द कांग्रेस पार्टी डेफिनेटली नीड्स टू टेक केयर ऑफ. Rajasthan cannot be an example of Congress governance or the internal feuds that the Congress party has faced in the recent past. They have much more important elections in the latter part of this year and the big battle of 2024. We talk about this and much more on the other side of a quick break. Stay tuned.
These are the two principal actors who won this election for Karnataka, and there's no third person who has won this election. If at all some role has been played, it is by Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge giving a helping hand as a Congress president. And if you're talking about people like M.B. Patil or Parameshwar, they had a little role in these elections. So to make them as a third candidate or a possible compromise candidate, I think it will be turning the whole exercise into a farce, and it won't happen because these two have really worked really hard to bring Congress, to this level where they got 135 seats.
So between these two, who would you choose between these two?
See, it's very difficult, and I think they should have made this decision at least a week before, when they had a sense that Congress was getting a majority. I'm sure they knew that they were getting a majority, or at least when these observers were sent to Bangalore, and they meticulously took the opinion of each and every legislator till 2 a.m. They took them, and then what did they do with that? With all the information that they had.
No. The information there was very clear, Mr. Upadhyay. The MLAs very clearly, overwhelmingly voted or were in favor of Mr. Siddaramaiah. But clearly that's not the only yardstick the High Command wants to go by.
No, but see, by dragging the whole thing to Delhi and making a spectacle of it here, what is that you have achieved? I think they've made made Karnataka into a farce now.
Okay.
Because you have the media glare, every single meeting of, whichever leader is meeting, whichever leader is being covered, and people are speculating on what's happening. And the fact that the Siddaramaiah group went to town this morning saying that he has been selected and in Bangalore, the preparations began for swearing in. This all, I think, must have embarrassed the Congress party.
Oh, absolutely. Today you had celebrations outside Siddaramaiah's house. You had protesters outside 10 Janpad. That's absolutely embarrassing. When you have protesters outside the house of the former Congress president. That's absolutely embarrassing because
That's the point, Meeta Chakrabarti, that all the panelists are making. The BJP has also taken its time in choosing its chief ministers, not like this publicly. Not like this publicly.
Allow me to rebut to that. Congress is my party and Congress is like my mother. These are not my words. These are words spoken by D.K. Shiv Kumar, and give me 30 seconds or 1 minute of uninterrupted time, please. So both Siddaramaiah and Mr. D.K. Shiv Kumar are very tall leaders, incredibly talented, very hardworking, and we are choosing between two very tall
Ma'am, we
leaders.
know
I
all
think
of
it's a
that.
good problem. Yes,
Please
each
answer
of
the
them
question.
Welcome back. You're watching The Nation at 5, and this is a big order that has come from the Supreme Court of India, which upheld the Tamil Nadu government's law or the amendment allowing the bull taming sport of Jallikattu in the state. The 5-judge constitution bench headed by Justice K.M. Joseph stated that when the legislature has declared the sport as part of cultural heritage of the state, then the judiciary cannot take an alternative view. The order will have a bearing on Karnataka and Maharashtra as well. Parts of these states also hold this bull taming sport. Although it holds a great cultural significance to Tamil Nadu, animal rights activists and groups, including PETA, had argued before the Supreme Court and challenged the Tamil Nadu government's law that had allowed the sport in the state. They argued that Jallikattu is cruel to animals and it should be banned. Let's take you through some key observations that have come in from the Supreme Court of India, precisely the parts of the order which the court read out in an open court today. The court asserted that Jallikattu is a part of the cultural heritage of the state of Tamil Nadu, and the court is satisfied that it is part of the heritage. They also said that preservation of culture should be debated by the legislature, by the people who have been chosen by the electorate, and not so much by the judiciary. The court is also of the opinion that judiciary can't take a last view if legislature has already decided on a matter that some practice holds a huge cultural significance. The court asserted that it's incorrect notion that sporting activity can't have any cultural value. It can. The Supreme Court said that the Amendment Act and the rules substantially, they minimize pain and suffering to the animals. The amendment, what was the amendment? There were certain precautionary measures that were taken to ensure that the bulls are not harmed. The court said that since there is no death, it does not mean that Jallikattu is a blood sport. Sometimes there is death that occurs of these animals who take part in the sport. The court also said that it doesn't suggest that participants are trying to extract blood. That's not the reason why the sport is conducted. The court's observation also include the amendment having received the presidential assent, and they do not think that there is any fault or a ground for a court to intervene. The top court further noted the Constitution Bench decision on the Tamil Nadu Amendment Act will guide our decision on the amendments of Maharashtra and Karnataka, which means that by deduction, they would be allowed to go ahead with this bull taming sport. We also you have got you some ground reports. Have a look.
Madurai people has been celebrating the judgment regarding Jallikattu, especially in Tamil Nadu. Madurai has been celebrating the Jallikattu as a cultural festival. After the Jallikattu ban, they are so interested to doing the festival as so energetic, and now after the verdict, they are celebrating the verdict as sharing the sweets and burning the crackers, as well as they are dancing while celebrating the verdict. They are celebrating this verdict as a Madurai's victory.
Well, there's an interesting backdrop to this entire order. That when this amendment was passed in the State Assembly, all parties, including the DMK, AIADMK, the opposition, the government, everybody supported it, because this sport has a tradition of more than a century in the state, and people at large were angered by the order of the Supreme Court, which had earlier put a stay or a ban on it. The union government and eventually the state government brought out these amendments and notification to ensure that the bull taming sport is allowed. There's a credit war, as expected. Now, the DMK has said that it was their party who gave the best of the lawyers to fight this case at the Supreme Court. AIADMK, on the other hand, said Jallikattu was banned and it was imposed during the time of the UPA government. Ordinance was brought in to promulgate it. It was passed by AIADMK government. And this ordinance, the fact that the AIADM government took this kind of effort, is something that they should be credited for. BJP is not left far behind. BJP's Annamalai was quick to thank the Prime Minister for ensuring that the ban on Jallikattu was lifted. He also slammed the UPA regime for banning it and said that the ban was removed under the NDA government. We have voices on the story. Let's begin by listening to Kanimori.
Ma'am, celebrations across Tamil Nadu, especially in Madurai, because the Supreme Court has upheld the laws on Jallikattu. How does it feel now?
The youth of Tamil Nadu came together to protest, to preserve this game, which has been a part of the Tamil culture for centuries together. Chief Minister has fought this and the Tamil Nadu government has ensured that we get justice, and not only this is just not justice, but it is a celebration of our culture, which is rightfully belongs to the people of this state. The Supreme Court has recognized the culture and the tradition of the Tamil people today. Procedures to ensure that there's no cruelty to animals and they are treated well and they are healthy. So you should understand that people understood nature much better than we did today.
தமிழுடைய பாரம்பரிய உரிமை அது வந்து ஒரு தடை செய்யப்பட்ட ஒரு சூழ்நிலையில மக்களுடைய கிளர்ச்சி, அந்த மக்களுடைய கிளர்ச்சியின் அடிப்படையிலும் அனைத்து இந்திய அண்ணா திராவிட முன்னேற்ற கழக ஆதரவின் அடிப்படையிலும் அன்றைய மத்திய அரசு வந்து ஒரு சட்ட பாதுகாப்பு கொடுத்தது. இன்னைக்கு வந்து உச்சநீதிமன்றம் அதை உறுதி செய்வது ஒரு நல்ல வரவேற்பு தகுந்த ஒரு விஷயம். ஆனால் இதுக்கு வந்து ஜல்லிக்கட்டு நாயகன்ற பேர் அவருக்கு கிடையாது. ஏன்னா அன்னைக்கு வந்து மக்கள் வந்து அந்த கிளர்ச்சி வந்து போராட்டம் கூடாதுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு அன்னைக்கு தடியடி நடத்துவார் அவர். இதெல்லாம் மறந்துடக்கூடாது நாட்டு மக்கள்.
Well, joining us on the broadcast is Mr. S. Muralidharan, who's an animal rights activist. So thank you so much. We are also expected to be joined by DMK very soon. But Mr. Muralidharan, how do you see the Supreme Court order? They have somewhere tried to strike this balance between culture and the rights of animals and the safety and security of animals. It cannot be at the cost of, security and safety of animals. But the court is also of the view that if there is a cultural practice which has been going on for over a century now, the state government has a right to perpetuate that practice and the court can't stop it.
Not just a century, it's for thousands of years. The Sangam literature is 2,000 years old. And there we have a depiction of Jallikattu. That's one. Second is, Supreme Court is once bitten, twice shy. They don't want people to come to the streets once again, protesting against their own verdict. So I'm sure they would have been cautious enough on that. And even the Sabarimala was the same reason, right? I mean, you have to understand regional sentiments. You have to respect people's belief. This is not just a Tamil culture, it is a Hindu culture. Because the Vadi Vasal where...
I'm trying to understand your argument. We have Mr. Salim Dharanidharan from the DMK also joining us on the broadcast. But Mr. Muralidharan, first to you. I believe that the court doesn't take into account people's sentiments. I believe that is taken into account by the legislature. The court has to rule on a point of law. And you'd remember, I'm sure you're aware, earlier there was a stay order from the Supreme Court on holding the Jallikattu festival. Eventually there were, interventions by the union government, by the state government, and hence the sport was allowed. But it has a record in the Supreme Court that at one point the top court had stopped the conducting of this festival.
Yes, probably the top court didn't understand what was happening at that point of time. As I said, the people's sentiments, people elect, the legislature. Legislature will, enact laws for them. That's way to go. And these are, legislative, subjects where courts have no job. Probably they realized it halfway after giving the verdict and seeing people coming to the streets for Sabarimala and for Jallikattu. That's where they probably corrected their mistake. Having said that, and what you need to understand is the first sabotage was by PETA. PETA is an international organization. Their main job in Norfolk, Virginia is to pick up stray dogs and stray cats and euthanize them. So that's what they do for a living. And only in India, they want to propagate, we should have dogs in the street and we should not play our, most lovable sport like Jallikattu. We should not have elephants in the temples. They propagate only in India because when they heard sentiments, they know there'll be a huge outrage. And when they ban it, they get millions of dollars in donations. The first case, why did we lose it? It's only because of PETA colluded with Animal Welfare Board of India and they sabotaged the entire case. Even this case, did you see whom the Union of India was fighting against? It was the Animal Welfare Board of India.
Yes, yes,
The Animal
yes.
Welfare Board of India went rogue. Along with Animal Welfare Board of India, there were two other litigants, petitioners. One is Anjali Sharma. She was the erstwhile AWBI lawyer. Then we had ML Jayasimha. Jayasimha Naganahalli. He is part of Human Society American NGO. What is he doing in India? Why is he so much worried about Indian sports
I take your
and
point.
Indian culture?
I take your broader point. Mr. Salim Dharanidharan, coming to you. Well, I'm not taking away from the fact that the DMK as a party and as a government has stood strong and backing this festival. There were successive rules that were passed to ensure that whenever the sport is conducted, there should be safety of these animals. And the court has upheld the validity of those rules. But I want to talk about, as I went into the history of it, how this case has been going on. Your political friends, I must say, some people from within the Congress party, some top leaders of the Congress party have written and tweeted against this particular festival. Within the Congress party, there have been various views that argue that perhaps it's not best to conduct this festival. Do you think that relationship sits well with the Congress party, at least on this issue, sir?
See, it was certain individual leaders and not the party as a whole. I think this is for the individuals in that party to reply and not for me. But as far as I am concerned, it's a great verdict. And I think our leader did a great job to get this verdict. I think now this puts an end to the issue which has been going for more than a decade. In fact, both BJP and ADMK did not care about this whole issue. If the people had not gone and protested, the ban would have existed until DMK had come to power in 2021 and taken action. And Supreme Court was also spot on to say that every game comes with risk. For example, mountaineering. People do mountaineering, and there are chances that they could die. But still they do it because every human being has that spirit in them to adventure. And in this sport, there is nothing apart from a hand that is used to tame the animal. So there's no way the animal could be hurt. And this is what the Supreme Court has said. And this is what the DMK as well as the Tamil Nadu government has been saying, that the intention is not to hurt the animal. It is just a sport. Every other sport comes with risk. Even cricket, you have seen people being dead on the field.
But sir, can you really claim the credit on your own right now? Because all political parties had supported when that particular amendment was passed in the assembly.
See, let me add on. See, I did watch this guy Annamalai's interview. He had claimed, he had thanked the Prime Minister Modi, but I think he's the person who stopped. In fact, then Chief Minister O. Pannirselvam had to go and beg him for the ordinance. He never gave an ordinance and did not know what to do. The protest was going on. In fact, even O. Pannirselvam did not care earlier. Only after the protest, he wanted to do something. Then also Modi didn't care. But only after the state government passed an ordinance and there were 20 lakh people protesting in Marina, it became a huge law and order issue. Reluctantly, the ordinance was signed by the president, right? So he played no role. If he had any role to play with the BJP, then they would have preemptively passed an ordinance, or even they could have created a union law. Actually, Salman Khurshid came and said tweaking of union law could have immediately allowed for the game to have conducted. BJP did not do anything. So the party that can claim least credit for this is BJP.
Mr. Muralidharan, do you agree with that view that the party that can claim the least credit is the BJP? Was the union government really bound to bring in any kind of that law that could have allowed the sporting activity to continue? The state government did what it had to, but could the union have intervened? Mr. Muralidharan.
I will not give credit to any political party in this matter, because we know that, Jairam Ramesh was against this. We know that, Maneka Gandhi was against this. And we know some of the DMK people themselves were against this.
No, none in DMK. There's no one in DMK against this.
So can you name who in DMK was against it? That's what Mr. Dharanidharan is asking.
It is a people's movement which went to Marina. It was a people's movement which brought back Jallikattu. No political party. Political parties are incidental. They were forced to, pass the ordinance and followed by DMK now. So nobody can take credit. There's nobody can take. This is a people's movement. It's a people's sport. This goes to the poor farmers of Tamil Nadu. What you need to understand, the poor farmer who rears the bull, he does not have a chappal to wear. He comes in a torn shirt and a dhoti. These guys have, when you look at their bull, it'll look like a Rolls-Royce Phantom limousine. So beautifully maintained. That's the credit. If at all DMK wants to do something.
So, Mr. Muralidharan, let me try and understand this from a different perspective. And I'm going to raise the arguments that were raised in court earlier so that I can have your view. Animal rights should be given due respect in this country. The bulls cannot participate in this sport willingly. And when they participate in the sport, there are no proper guidelines which existed. Right now, there are from the state now, after that amendment was brought in. And it's cruel to the animals. At the cost, in the garb of culture, it cannot be at the cost of animal rights. How do you counter this particular argument?
I'll give you an answer on that.
Yeah.
Horse racing, it's not stopped across the world for a simple reason. They call it a game of skill. Is that the fact? There's no cruelty? There is definitely cruelty. So why are they upholding it? There's a huge amount of gambling associated with it. The gambling associations come and fight the cases. So they win it. Similarly, in the case of Jallikattu bull, the argument was, what is a pain which is a necessary pain and unnecessary pain? Slaughter is gruesome. Slaughter is barbaric, but slaughter is a necessary pain for you to eat food. Similarly, when you take Jallikattu, and these are necessary pain, what is that we are trying to do with the bull here? This is a tradition which is followed from those days to check the valor of the bull. That means how good these bulls are. These are not your Western breeds like Holstein Friesian or Jersey, which are only made for milking and meat. Our bulls used to work in the field. See, you can tie up an Indian Desi bull. You've seen so many of them in Noida, the huge bulls which are roaming around. You can tie them up in the hot sun throughout the day. Nothing.
I take your point. Mr. Salim, coming to you, somewhere when these debates happen at the Supreme Court and the argument is pitched as culture versus animal rights, it also goes on to show as if the Indian culture is against animal rights. And in fact, I believe one of the oldest traditions can be found in India when it comes to conservation and protection of animal rights and values. So somewhere I believe the argument is also distorted when litigations like these happen at the Supreme Court. Mr. Dharanidharan.
See, and earlier I want to also rebut the previous speaker when they said there were a few voices against Jallikattu and DMK. I strongly condemn it. There's no one in DMK which came openly and said they're against Jallikattu, which is completely wrong. Right? So that I have to make it very clear. DMK has been for the Tamil culture, Tamil language, and we vocally supported Jallikattu, and we went and did Rail Ruko to when the ban was enforced in 2017. Right, so we played a major role in the protest and also in the working of the ban and in convincing O. Paneerselvam to write an ordinance. Having said that, see, Jallikattu is the culture of Tamil Nadu. It's been in practice for the last 2,000 years, and there's no way it is harmful for the bulls because you just use your hand, as I said earlier. Right, same thing happened in Maharashtra also, which got affected. So if look at polo is causing more harms to the horses than Jallikattu would, right? Because I know how the horses are trained and the amount of stress it causes to their knees and so on and so forth, right? So I think maybe you're right. Maybe they don't understand the Indian culture, or rather in this case, the Tamil culture.
At least that's what the argument of petitioners was, and the Supreme Court has handed down the verdict. Mr. Muralidharan, the point I was raising with Mr. Dharanidharan is that when you pitch animal rights against culture like Jallikattu, or largely the local culture of a particular state, and multiple states celebrate this bull taming festival, somewhere you present the local cultures as something which is anti-animal rights, which are not sensitive to the needs of animals, which is not really true, at least in the case of India, with its own set of diversities and local customs.
No, not at all. Let me explain this to you. Only in India, it's a land of ahimsa. Only in India, you see tigers, lions, and elephants in one land, within one boundary, and the score of other animals. You should point out one country in the whole world where there are all the three animals live. They don't. Second, we evolved with animals. You look at the cows and the bulls. The cows are used for milking. In fact, once upon a time, I think Karl Marx or somebody called it, it's a cow economy. The cow economy is based on the cow giving you milk. It's a nutritious food for your family. Apart from that, it also gives you money to bring up your children, etc. So that's what they call the cow economy. The bulls were working in the field with us, and they were toiling all day in the hot sun. So that's what we started calling Gau as Mata, and we started revering. Though, end of the day, DMK talks about taking a dig at BJP in terms of, pointing the cows and the rearing of taking care of the cows. But I think they also stood for the cows once again. If you really see, this is what the Jallikattu is nothing but the Bharatiya tradition. This is what the real tradition of India is.
Mr. Dharanidharan, a quick response from you, and then I have to end the discussion.
No, I don't agree with that argument. BJP is the one that has been doing all this cheap politics with the cow. In fact, UP is the one where highest amount of cow meat is exported or in some form, and then people are killed because they are consuming cow meat. So this divisive politics is done by BJP, and they have one role in UP, one role in Goa. In Goa, the chief minister, BJP chief minister, encourages eating beef, and then in UP, on pretext that you're having beef, people are killed and lynched. So I think this double game is always played by BJP.
All right. I've taken the arguments on both the sides. Gentlemen, Mr. Muralidharan and Mr. Salim Dharanidharan, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast and sparing your time. A crucial verdict that has come from the Supreme Court, and it's a fine balance that has been struck between the cultural rights, customs that have prevailed for thousands of years versus the argument of animal rights, which the court believes have been preserved by the amendment of the state government. We heard from the state law minister as well. Listen.
Supreme Court has given a very good verdict, historical verdict for the steps taken by our leader, Thalapathy, and the government of Tamil Nadu. That is the Tamilians' culture, heroism, tradition, all have been safeguarded by our leader. So it is a legal fight. That legal fight we won. Laws will be implemented because they have accepted the Amendment Act.
Well, here's another important development of the day. In a major cabinet reshuffle, Mr. Kiren Rijiju, the earlier law minister, has been replaced by Arjun Ram Meghwal, who has now been assigned the independent charge as the Minister of State in the Ministry of Law and Justice, in addition to his existing portfolios. Kiren Rijiju has been assigned the portfolio of Ministry of Earth Sciences. The second major cabinet rejig, Minister of State SP Singh Baghel, has been shifted to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare from the Law Ministry. President Draupadi Murmu, as advised by the Prime Minister, has reallocated the portfolios. The official notification has been put out.
बहुत पहले तो बहुत बहुत बधाई आपको कि आपको नया कार्यभार मिला। क्या क्या चैलेंजेस हैं आगे, किस तरीके से आप देखते हैं इस नई जिम्मेदारी को?
देखिए, कोई नया दायित्व मिलता है, चैलेंज तो होता ही है उसमें, लेकिन हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी का मार्गदर्शन, उसके आधार पर निश्चित रूप से कोई भी चुनौती हो वो निश्चित रूप से पार की जाएगी। और फिर मैं कह दूं आपके माध्यम से कि संविधान सर्वोपरि है इस देश में। संविधान ने जो लिखा है, जो प्रावधान किए हैं, उनके अनुसार सभी अंगों को काम करना है और करते रहेंगे आगे।
सर, ये एक बहुत चर्चित मामला है कि बार बार ये कहा जाता है कि जुडिशरी और सरकार के बीच में
कोई मामला नहीं है जी, कोई विषय नहीं है।
Maybe reshuffling, to say that he has been removed is a very, harsh word. Reshuffling has taken place, and during his tenure also everything went well, correct? Because ultimately it is a collective, decision of the government, central government, ministry and all these things, correct? And it went well, nothing wrong with this, but there may be some reason we do not.
We continue tracking this story and much more on the other side of a quick break. Stay tuned.
Process. I think this entire frenzy in sections of media and this frenzy being artificially created by the opposition, which is the BJP in this case, is completely uncalled for. We have a democratic process within our political party.
I don't think this is being created by the media. It is playing out in the full public glare, in the media glare. The media can't, walk away from a story when the story is playing in the public domain.
Of course.
But having said that, let me ask RP Singh the point that you made. RP Singh, the point is...
Can I just complete the point?
Yeah, I've heard you. Let me ask the question that you asked about how, in the case of Yogi Adityanath, the BJP took 7 days. In the case of Himanta Biswa Sarma, you took 8 days. Why are you begrudging RP Singh, the Congress, for taking 3 or 4 days? After all, it's a big state. It's a historic mandate. They will take their time to arrive at a consensus, Chief Minister.
Well, we have no problem. They can take another probably few months also to decide their Chief Minister. But Zaka, please ask your backup team to search through, was there any noise in the media or anywhere else that or there were any leg pulling or any sort of another level of tug of war going on between the CM candidates like is going on here in Karnataka, one. Secondly, parallelly you are missing on one thing, which is that what's happening in Rajasthan today. I mean, what happened in Rajasthan few years back, and the people of Rajasthan have suffered because of that, and exactly the same is being repeated in Karnataka today. Sachin Pilot was in race. He was not made the chief minister, he was made the deputy chief minister, the promise of rotation or probably of, that after 3 years he will get the term, but that didn't happen. And now what we've seen how the law and order has collapsed, how things have collapsed and administration has collapsed in Rajasthan. So our concern is the same in Karnataka also. I mean, they, God bless them, they can take their time as much they want to, but ultimately it's the people of Karnataka who are going to suffer because of the tug of war going on between the leaders of the Congress party. Whether it's Shiv Kumar, whether it is Siddaramaiah, or whether it is Mr. Khadge himself.
Okay, R.K. Upadhyay, you know, this whole thing about a third candidate, Mr. Khadge or Mr. Parmeshwara, whoever it is, how much do you lend credence to that? Because, like I said a moment ago, it ends up alienating both Mr. Siddaramaiah and Mr. Shiv Kumar. I'm not sure what purpose is achieved by that. Have things got to a point where neither party can be placated, neither party can be sort of enthused, even if he were to lose the chief ministership, something else is given in return? Because this third candidate business, it's been floating around for a couple of days now. How much, how real?
Welcome back. The stalemate on who will be the Chief Minister of Karnataka has finally ended. 5 days after the poll results, Congress today finally announced that Siddaramaiah will be the Chief Minister. DK Shiv Kumar will be the only Deputy Chief Minister of the state. It's important to note that there will be no rotation of power and Mr. Siddaramaiah will be the Chief Minister for full term. Sources further reveal that Mallikarjun Kharge and the Gandhis convinced DKS to accept this formula so that the government can be formed with much urgency and ease in the state. Meanwhile, a CLP meeting is scheduled to take place at around 7:30 p.m. in Bengaluru today.
Congress president took a decision. He decided to make Siddaramaiah as the Chief Minister of Karnataka. DK Shiv Kumar will be the only one Deputy CM of Karnataka. He will continue as a PCC president till the parliament election is over. Power sharing formula is to share the power to the people of Karnataka. That's all.
We had made a one-line resolution that whatever the High Command will take a decision, we will abide by it. Ultimately, Rahulji called me and said, you all have to work together. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge called us and gave this dikat. We all have accepted whatever the formula has been generated. What has happened to Congress party? Everything is well. Everything will be well, is going to be well. We have to respect the sentiment of the people of Karnataka and the country at large.
How did you manage to convince DK Shiv Kumar to agree to your formula of deputy CM?
Shri Mallikarjun Kharge has his own sagacious way, knowledge and experience of dealing with the leaders of Karnataka. Everybody listens to his sagacious advice. For us, party is far bigger than post or people.
So there's no rotation formula being applied?
I think the General Secretary organization clearly answered that the only rotation formula or power formula is service of the people as servants of the people.
And do you think it's going to be a smooth? Is it going to be a smooth 5-year term?
Yes, it will be. We will be able to serve.
You won't see a repeat of the Rajasthan situation?
Absolutely not.
No, I deserve the Chief Minister. Why only Deputy Chief Minister? But at least if the party has to take everybody together, run up to the parliament election, everybody should together work for that. And I am sure the High Command knows that.
One only hopes that Karnataka is not transmutated into another Rajasthan by the Congress party. The people give a mandate for stability, but the Congress party has a habit of drawing instability from the jaws of stability. And we have seen that template play out in Rajasthan, where Sachin Pilot has been on dharna against his own government. We have seen it play out in Chhattisgarh. We are seeing signs of it in every state where the Congress by mistake gets an opportunity to rule. And therefore one hopes that Karnataka does not become another Rajasthan and somebody does not become the next Sachin Pilot of Rajasthan.
Well, here are some important reports from Kashmir as the valley is preparing to host the first G20 meet. Marine commandos of the Indian Navy have been deployed at Dal Lake to ensure the safety of G20 leaders. Commandos have started moving into the lake and will now take charge of the security of this area, considering it very sensitive. NSG will also be part of the entire security grid in the valley. Ishan Wani with these exclusive ground reports. Have a look.
Marcos commandos have been deployed here at Dal Lake. Behind me, you can see them moving around Dal Lake. This was decided initially in a meeting that these commandos from the Indian Navy will be deployed at Dal Lake to ensure safety and security. Remember, this is for G20 that these Marcos commandos are being deployed. NSG will also be part of the entire security grid in Kashmir Valley. These are the exclusive visuals that we are bringing to you from Dal Lake from today. They are going to recce the entire area. They are going to ensure to see where the loopholes are and where they can be plugged. You can see 3 of these Marcos are there inside this boat. They are already deployed in Bandipora district, and because the venue is covered by water body from 3 sides, so to ensure safety and security of the delegates, these Marcos will be deployed along the entire Dal Lake. Now they will be seeing the entire area, and then from here they will be deployed in multiple boats, and multiple teams will be going around Dal Lake to ensure that there is no gap left, because during the G20, security forces do have imposed that there could be sensational attacks, and to avoid them, these Marcos have been pushed into service to ensure safety and security during the crucial meeting that's going to happen next week. Multiple NSG teams are today here at Lal Chowk. Behind me, you can see NSG men are going around this particular area, trying to know about the locality and hotels around this vicinity. This is the Lal Chowk area of Ghantagar, where multiple teams of NSG along with J&K police have been seeing these hotels, because in the past, multiple attacks whenever they have taken place long back, they have used hotels to go into them. And today we are seeing that NSG men are experts in room intervention, and that is why today multiple teams of NSG are seeing this entire area, trying to know that the area and also about the hotel's rooms, because if there is any possibility of any attack, they are able to deal with it swiftly. And that is why today we are seeing that multiple NSG teams coming to Lal Chowk, the city center, and trying to see the buildings here, the sort of area that is around this particular vicinity. We have already seen that multiple times this Lal Chowk area has come under attack, be it the grenade attacks, be it the Fidain attack, and that is why particularly J&K police back in the meeting decided to rope in NSG commandos to ensure the safety and security ahead of the crucial G20 meeting in Srinagar.
Welcome everyone. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. In a setback for West Bengal government, the Supreme Court of India has made some strong observations while lifting the ban on the film The Kerala Story in the state. The court believes the ban order suffered from overbreadth and was not based on any material produced before the court. A bench headed by the CJI also directed Tamil Nadu government to ensure all security arrangements at theatres so that the film can be screened. Representing the producer, senior advocate Harish Salve argued the West Bengal government had pointed out just 13 incidents where the person believed that the film could cause riots. He even argued that in Tamil Nadu, multiplex owners are pulling back a film which is otherwise houseful, which clearly shows that it wasn't because of low public response. On the other hand, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, representing the Bengal government, argued the ban order was just to prevent a future breach of peace as the demographic profile of the state is very different. The Chief Justice of India observed that the exercise of power has to be proportional and any kind of intolerance cannot be tolerated. When the government and the police highlighted the 32,000 figure in the trailer and even in the movie, the CGI directed the filmmakers to put a disclaimer that this is not an authentic data. The CGI even warned the producers and by large the entire community that as much as the court protects freedom of speech, the filmmakers or any form of art cannot vilify a community. So is this another win for fundamental rights of the public and freedom of expression of artists? We'll take that to our special guest joining us in just a bit, but let me take you through the key takeaways from the Supreme Court verdict today. So the biggest takeaway is that the ban on the film The Kerala Story will now have to be lifted in the state of West Bengal. West Bengal government's ban order, the court says, wasn't tenable on the basis of material produced in court. Takeaway 3, security has to be beefed up at cinema halls in Tamil Nadu, where there was a de facto ban on this film. A film cannot be used to vilify a community, as I mentioned, is another big statement coming in from the court. And takeaway 5, fundamental rights are not dependent on public emotion. So there's a fundamental right of people to be able to watch this movie that cannot be denied just because some people may erupt in some sort of an emotional response. In fact, let me break down some of the important arguments and back and forth that took place in the court today, which will give you an idea not just of where each side stood, but also what the court felt. So the filmmakers mentioned that the teaser, which mentioned the figure of 32,000 women missing, has already been taken down. This figure keeps coming back to haunt the film and the filmmakers. But the West Bengal police to this objected to it, saying that the movie still mentions this figure, which has been a big bone of contention. Now, the West Bengal government objected to the fact that there's been a public display of emotion because of this movie. They added that they don't have a problem if people watch at home, for example, on OTT. To this, the CGI argued that fundamental rights cannot be left dependent on public display of emotions. West Bengal government also argued that there is a public order and preventative power of the state government under which they've taken a call to ban this film. To this too, the CGI countered by saying that Section 6, which gives the state this power, cannot be used to put premium on public intolerance. West Bengal government said that intelligence reports suggested to them that there was a serious threat to public order, as we've mentioned before. But CGI questioned them and asked them if they are basing this entire report on just 13 people and what they say. Because fundamentally, there have been no disturbances on ground in West Bengal or even other states. Then West Bengal government also argued that the demographics of the state are very different to other parts of the country, so that should be considered. The CGI countered this by saying that demographics cannot be the same everywhere, but there should be a proportional application of the state's power. The CGI did raise the issue of the figure of 32,000 though and called it misleading. To this, the filmmakers said that they will now clarify in their disclaimer that there is in fact no authentic data available as far as the number of women missing is concerned. So first up on Plain Speaks today, the big Kerala story storm. This ban has been lifted in West Bengal. Is this a fundamental win for fundamental rights and also freedom of expression?
The Honorable Chief Minister took a call because she is the administrative head of her state and she knows best what is best for her state.
They started asking questions first, then they will confuse us and then criticizing our